Memphis, Tennessee has a southern spirit and country charm. It's a place of big business, but music is what rocks this city's soul. World-famous Beale Street is home to the blues. The Orpheum hosts musicals, and rock remains king in other parts of town. Still, music isn't the only art form in Memphis. Just minutes from downtown, the Dixon Gallery boasts some of the best paintings in the country. And its artful landscapes come to life just outside the doors.
It's such a perfect foil for the art inside. So you have this beautiful setting to view the decorative and fine arts, and then come out to this quiet little pocket of peace here in the middle of the city.
This 17-acre oasis is the legacy of Hugo and Margaret Dixon. The couple moved to Memphis in 1940. They collected art for inside their home, while outside, they created it.
Mr. Dixon chose to design the garden with a series of open space followed by more small, intimate spaces, so that the garden unfolds as you walk through it. You never glimpse the entire garden at one time.
The first glimpse of the garden begins behind the home as the south lawn sweeps into view. At the end of a broad vista, behind a wall of daylilies and bee balm, an intriguing statue rises from a sea of begonias. The statue bridges the Dixons' two passions, art and gardens. On the side of the house, a series of intimate rooms opens up. The formal garden is designed in 3 levels, each space divided by a boxwood skirt. The center parterre is the focal point here. The bronze planter, one of a pair that once adorned a hallway in England's Mereworth Castle, hosts a collection of pink and white begonias. And past the planter, nestled in a shady forest of southern red oaks, a treasured hideaway is nestled into the greenery.
And we have a wonderful space at the end of the formal gardens that we've turned into a moss bed, and it has this wonderful, tranquil feeling. It's a very quiet, very remote area, and if ever there was a place for contemplation, I would say that would be the space on the property.
Peaceful pockets like these are all around the gardens.
There are lots of beautiful little quiet benches and sitting areas all over, peppered throughout the gardens.
But be careful of what's said when sharing secrets in this seat.
The Whispering Bench is a bench with a curved back, and it got its so-called name because if you're sitting in one corner and you talk into the curve of the back, your voice is carried to the other end. So you don't want to whisper any nasty things about people that are sitting at the other end, and otherwise your secrets will be shared.
But the garden itself is willing to share secrets for those daring enough to explore. Here, quiet paths drift deep into natural woodlands, where typical garden features come in unexpected forms. Still, no one's prepared for the garden's final secret. Here, a stony terrace is occasionally the site of parties. And while it's always been a place for entertaining, only recent guests have been able to walk on water.
The swimming pool has been covered over with a beautiful terrace that we do still use for entertaining, and the pool itself is actually a reservoir for the gardens.
And that pool is still full, but used to refresh plants instead of people. The Dixons donated their garden and home gallery to the city of Memphis in the mid-1970s. And while this peaceful getaway is still a Memphis secret, those who find it find a reason to return.
It is full of surprises, and there are these little pockets that people may not visit on their first time here or their second, and each time they come they discover something new and interesting.
Like the gallery inside, the Dixon Gardens are designed to ensure that each visit leads to a new discovery. It's a peaceful sanctuary where beauty lies inside and outside museum doors. Coming up, a secret garden where whimsy and wonder are around every corner. Also, it's in the heart of Memphis, but it seems oh so far away.
But as you walk back through the gates of the garden, it's almost like going into another world.
We'll peek inside as the Secret Gardens continues. Riverboats cruise the Mississippi as it winds through Memphis, Tennessee. The boats recall a time when life was slower and more peaceful. And on dry land, there are other places to dream of days past. Memphis is well known for its tranquil park system, which stretches across more than 7,000 acres. But outside of the city center, there are private pockets of paradise too. Hidden around the corner of a private drive, lucky visitors are invited into Kitty Taylor's secret garden.
Just listen. It's truly being in the country. And there are wonderful country sounds. There are so many birds. The wind in the trees, the quietness. It's a lovely place to be.
But this is no ordinary place in the country. Kitty's 2.5-acre garden is filled with surprises.
I think the most secret spot is probably the rock garden.
Rock gardens are unusual in Memphis, but in front of the Taylor home, they're an unusual surprise.
The surprise and secret to this garden when you're looking at it is that if you look between the rocks, there are some little plants that are the alpine plants. For instance, this one is called tunica, and I think it's a lovely airy plant.
Tunica blossoms with dainty flowers among the rocks. Gabularian and androsia also flourish in this alpine rock garden. To the east of the rock garden, the sun garden lights up. 2 wide rows of perennials delight bees and butterflies. Tiger lilies, crepe myrtle, and cleome fill the beds. But some flowers here come as a surprise, left by the birds.
I came out one morning and I saw the big leaves in the middle of a plant area, and I started to pull it out, and I looked again and I realized that it was a sunflower. And so then I could picture what it would look like, and I thought, yum.
But this garden's beauty isn't only from blooms. There's a secret in symmetry here. The east border is 12 feet wide, while the west border is 7 feet wide.
And it is a surprise when you look at it, yes, because you don't realize that one side is deeper than the other. And so when you're looking into the garden, the depth of the flowers on the deeper side gives you the feeling of having the same amount on both sides.
Few forget this path of discovery. It leads to the rose garden, where crimson tide, floribunda, and even a rose named Secret fill the beds. Horses graze in the meadow, and a footbridge leads to a bog garden. Here, clusters of impatiens, hosta, and pickerel mix with September gold, hypericum, and caladium in a glorious burst of color.
So the surprise there is there's no time of the year that is not in bloom.
Those who sit on the terrace will discover another secret.
You're sitting there and you realize that there's a deep shade garden on one side of you and a very bright sun garden on the other.
The shade garden is designed to delight. Hickory trees, a post oak, and a gum tree, among others, provide the shade. Hosta, phlox, and crocusmia grow below the trees. A bird bath provides a refuge.
When people come to the garden and I can see them sitting comfortably and enjoying it, that just makes my heart beat, because this is what they're supposed to do, and this is why I have my garden.
This garden is a hidden oasis filled with exotic blooms and treasured vistas. It's a place where garden surprises are just waiting to be discovered. Still ahead, a sheltering sky in an overgrown secret garden. And later, a shadowy secret comes to light as the Secret Gardens continues.
Saturday.
Nestled in the heart of the South, on a river that seems as old as time itself, Memphis, Tennessee rises out of the emerald earth like a glittering gem. The city sparkles with green parks and spotless streets. Memphis is the only 5-time winner of the nation's Cleanest City Award. Beautiful neighborhoods thrive in this wholesome environment. With its graceful homes and wide boulevards, Midtown Memphis is one of the most desirable areas to live in. And tucked just off one of these grand avenues, a stunning home hides its own private oasis.
It's very surprising because the home sits in the middle of Memphis, but we're right at an intersection that has to be pretty busy. But as you walk back through the gates of the garden, it's almost like going into another world.
This other world overflows with secret rooms, disappearing paths, and unusual garden glory.
No matter which way you turn in the garden, you come up with a big surprise. There's a whole new look, a whole new planting area.
Although it's small, this garden is an unfolding fantasy land.
The total property is only a 100 by 200, but when you get back inside the walls of the garden, it appears to be much, much larger than that.
Vine-covered arbors rise above a mossy brick path like a rainbow, inviting visitors to find the pot of gold down this ethereal trail. Other treasures are found a bit off the beaten path.
When you're walking in the garden, you might walk right by this tree and not notice the fact that it's a pussy willow. Now, in the fact that it's a pussy willow doesn't make it unique, but what makes it unique is the fact that it very rarely grows this far south, and if it does, it's very seldom this big. So this is quite a surprise in the garden.
The pussy willow also provides shade for the many quiet sitting areas. In this garden, benches and seats are everywhere, inviting visitors to rest and enjoy this private sanctuary.
I can come back here and sit in any one of the seating areas and just totally forget about what's just on the other side of the fence.
The bright orange petals of a hibiscus stand like a sentry in front of one of these restful spots. Here, a beautiful gazebo houses a planter of Boston ivy, while New Guinea impatiens serve as a soothing centerpiece. But the real surprise hides behind the white lattice. A graceful statue looks out on the garden, casting glances into this special hideaway. The long view leads to a more formal part of the garden. Boxwood hedges form a neat line, and a charming fairy tale structure is actually a potting shed. A spiral juniper stands alert, protecting a Tennessee treat.
What this is a beautyberry. It's native to Tennessee, but you very rarely find it in a garden. You can see here that there's a bloom on it, and it's a little unique.
The beautyberry adds a splash of color in this predominantly green garden. But it isn't the only bright bloom here. A vibrant red bromeliad and delicate lily keep cool by a small pool of water.
People just tend to have their whole blood pressure drop down to a lower level when they're back in here.
The calming landscape is carefully designed not to give up all its secrets at once.
I think the most secret spot in the garden is back behind the guest house. I mean, it's very quiet back there, and nobody really knows it. And you can't see that room from any other place in the garden.
Secret rooms, treasured folly, and gorgeous blooms make this a small hidden garden ripe for discovery. A place where trails lead to unexpected treasures, hidden around bends that seem to disappear in the dense foliage. Coming up, a garden with mystery on the wing. The Secret Gardens returns in a moment. Memphis, Tennessee moves to the beat of its own kind of music. After all, the king himself, Elvis Presley, called this southern city home. And more people visit Elvis's Graceland than any other private home in America. But Memphis is also home to little-known attractions, secret gardens that have a graceful rhythm all their own. The casual traveler might drive right by this beautiful house on a hill, its treasure hidden down a long driveway behind lush trees. But lucky visitors will be invited in to discover a garden that unfolds with every step.
So it's a series of gardens that you can't see all at once, at one place or at one time. You've got to keep coming back.
Tom Pellet designed this private paradise for Michael and Vicki McDonald. And it was a challenge to bring so much color to such a shady spot. But now this secret garden has become a journey of delightful discovery.
All of that is often designed to sort of appear as you turn a corner or just walk a little bit further on the path. So all of that stuff is secret until you get there.
And getting there is never on the straight and narrow. This garden is built around a circular path where hardy begonias entice bees and Indian pink cast a fiery glow. At the edge of a path, one of this garden's secrets is a vision in bronze. This impressive statue is the work of Italian sculptor Luciano Minguzzi, whose work is also collected by the Guggenheim family. These two figures were a gift from Vicki's mother, who brought the art home from Italy herself. Farther down the path, another international secret is tucked away. Nestled under the branches of a bottlebrush buckeye, visitors find this intriguing stone, which comes from a church in England. But in this garden of surprises, the unexpected sometimes comes from the plants themselves.
One of the discoveries you'll find in this garden is Italian arum, which this time of year, early summer, all you will see is a cluster of bright red-orange berries. If you were to plant this with your hosta, you would confuse people because they would see these orange berries coming up out of your hosta and not know exactly what was going on.
When the hosta dies down in late fall and winter, the Italian arum sends up green arrow-shaped leaves. So this patch of garden is green all year round. In the summer, bee balm, which is native to Memphis, does what it's supposed to do and draws bees.
Has a very fragrant leaf. It's in the mint family, and Oswego tea is made from bee balm.
In the spring and summer, the garden welcomes birds, while daylilies, coneflowers, and phlox bloom below.
We have gotten a lot of the spring drifts of phlox and foam flowers. They have reseeded, made their own masses. So that's always, I think, a fun part of gardening is the surprises nature provides for you.
Nature is good to this garden. And just over the footbridge crossing a dry creek bed, nature's own secret garden branches out.
Memphis grows trees exceptionally well, and there's a whole palette of native plants that grow under the trees, and we've got a good collection of native plants in this garden.
The McDonald Shade Garden is a wonderful collection of trees. And under the dogwood, it's a perfect place to pass a summer afternoon. From the bench, a chorus of phlox, verbena, and veronica dances in the sun's spotlight. In Memphis, Tennessee, secret gardens have a rhythm all their own. Sunny or shady, historic or modern, gardens here radiate the city's many earthly charms. Join us again next time as we discover more hidden treasures in America's most spectacular secret gardens.